Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Quranic moment. Inshallah, we'll be reading Juz 14 today. We're up to Surah Hijr and we'll be starting from the very first verse. But before we do so, we'll have a short dua, inshallah, and then we'll get into it.
الحمد لله الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسولك محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك اللهم وفقنا أن نشكر نعماتك وأنعمك ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين اللهم انصر إخواننا في فلسطين اللهم كن معهم آمين اللهم عليك بأعدائهم وأعداء الدين آمين يا رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين. Okay. Beginning Surah Hijr inshallah today, right?
Inshallah. Ustad Ibrahim, when you're ready, inshallah, we can start.
Yes, inshallah. I'll just pulling up the pages, inshallah.
No worries. Surah Hijr is another Makki surah, huh? Ustad Sadiq?
Yeah, Meccan Surah. According to my notes here, 99 verses. Verse 80 is where the Hijr is mentioned. And it's the people of Hazrat Sayyidina Salih alayhi salam and the people of Thamud. Sometimes these introductions to these surahs, they're beneficial, like, Surah Baqarah deals with the Jews, whereas Surah Al-Imran deals more with the Christians. But sometimes I find it's very hard to capture the major themes of a surah in the Quran in these introductions. Yeah, Allah.
That's why we have to read them, huh?
So here from Mahmoud Picktal's translation, as the thing comes up, Al-Hijr, which I take to be a place name, is so called from verse 80 to 84, where the fate of the dwellers at that place is described. The date of revelation is earlier than that of any of the Meccan surahs which preceded in the arrangement of the book, though the subject and the tone are similar, which accounts for its position. Noel-Dickey places it in his middle group of Meccan surahs, that is, as far as one can judge from the inclusions, those revealed after the 8th year and before the 3rd year before the Hijrah, and in so doing but confirms the judgment of the best Muslim authorities, though some Muslim authorities would place it among the earliest revelations. So it belongs to the middle group of Meccan surahs. Picktal is saying. No.
Okay, inshallah. So Ibrahim, maybe you could start reading if you don't mind, inshallah, and then we'll take turns from there.
Okay, inshallah. I'll start with the introduction. 15. The Stone Valley, Al-Hijr. This Meccan surah takes its name from the place mentioned in 80 to 84, where the people of Salih once lived. Other destroyed peoples are mentioned as a warning to the Arab deniers, who are also warned at the beginning of the next surah. Satan's arrogance towards Allah and enmity towards humanity are emphasized. The Prophet ﷺ is urged to exercise patience and seek comfort in worship. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, most merciful. Warning to the disbelievers. Alif Lam Ra. These are the verses of the book, the clear Quran. The day will come when the disbelievers will certainly wish they had submitted to Allah. So let them eat and enjoy themselves and be diverted by false hope, for they will soon know. We have never destroyed a society without a destined term. No people can advance their doom, nor can they delay it. The pagans mocking the Prophet. They say, O you to whom the reminder is revealed, you must be insane. Why do you not bring us the angels if what you say is true? We do not send the angels down except for a just cause, and then the end of the disbelievers will not be delayed. It is certainly we who have revealed the reminder, and it is certainly we who will preserve it. Committed to disbelief. Indeed, we sent messengers before you.
Ustad Ibrahim, the reminder there, if you just is referring to the Quran. I think that's why it's got the capital R as well. Verse number 9. I think it's
Verse number 9 as well.
yeah, and verse number 6 as well. I mean, it's kind of clear, but in Tafsir Jalalain, that's what it mentions.
Committed to disbelief. Indeed, we sent messengers before you, O Prophet, among the groups of early peoples, but no messenger ever came to them without being mocked. This is how we allow disbelief to steep into the hearts of the wicked. They will not believe in this Quran despite the many examples of those destroyed before. And even if we opened for them a gate to heaven through which they continued to ascend, still they would say, our eyes have truly been dazzled. In fact, we must have been bewitched. Divine power. Indeed, we have placed constellations in the sky and adorned it for all to see, and we protected it from every accursed devil, except the one eavesdropping, who is then pursued by a visible flare. As for the earth, we spread it out and placed upon it firm mountains and caused everything to grow there in perfect balance. And we made in it means of sustenance for you and others who you do not provide for. There is not any means of sustenance whose reserves we do not hold, only bringing it forth in precise measure. We send fertilizing winds and bring down rain from the sky for you to drink. It is not you who hold its reserves. Surely it is we who give life and cause death, and we are the eternal successor. We certainly know those who have gone before you and those who will come after you. Surely your Lord alone will gather them together for judgment. He is truly all wise, all knowing.
Here that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says He sends impregnating dust-bearing winds. Apparently, some scholars have mentioned that even some of the tafsirs, the amount of information they extrapolated from these verses, are almost miraculous. How the role that winds play in fertilizing and the way plants spread. Yeah, I think Tabari's tafsir was mentioned for that.
Just where it mentions that we spread it out and placed upon firm mountains, verse number 19. It's also interpreted as a spiritual metaphor to be the divine laws, prophethood, sacred law, which are, they're just like mountains. They're fixed and firmly rooted, and so it allows us to be also fixed and rooted as well. These things. So, Sadiq, if you remember, we were talking about the Quran being the ruh of the universe in one of our readings. These things give spirit, but also keep us firm rooted as well, inshallah.
Like after it mentions in the first verses how Allah revealed the Quran and He's the protector of it. Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafizun. Just as He protects the Quran, and then straight after He goes on to the physical universe, that we protected the heavens, we set constellations, and then we protected the heavens from all Satans. وَحَفِظْنَاهَا مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْطَانٍ رَجِيمٍ. And that's, although we normally when we read that verse, Allah has promised to protect the Quran, that's true, but part of it is also protecting it from being eavesdropped and all that. But it's interesting how both the Quran and the universe have this hifz, وَلَا يَؤُودُهُ حِفْظُهُمَا, as we see in Ayatul Kursi. It's all under constant Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's protection. Sometimes, like you said, for the mountain, some people say it refers to saints as well. Some of them. Yeah.
The creation of Adam. Indeed, we created man from sounding clay, molded from black mud. As for the jinn, we created them earlier from smokeless fire. Remember, O Prophet, when your Lord said to the angels, I am going to create a human being from sounding clay, molded from black mud. So when I have fashioned him and had a spirit of my own creation breathed into him, fall down in prostration to him. Satan's defiance. So the angels prostrated all together, but not Iblis, who refused to prostrate with the others. Allah asked, O Iblis, what is the matter with you that you did not join others in prostration? He replied, it is not for me to prostrate to a human you created from sounding clay, molded from black mud. Allah commanded, then get out of paradise, for you are truly cursed, and surely upon you is condemnation until the day of judgment. Satan's appeal. Satan appealed, my Lord, then delay my end until the day of their resurrection. Allah said, you will be delayed until the appointed day. Satan responded, my Lord, for allowing me to stray, I will surely tempt them on earth and mislead them altogether, except your chosen servants among them. Allah said, this is the way binding on me. You will certainly have no authority over my servants, except the deviant who follow you. And surely hell is their destined place altogether. It has 7 gates, to each a group of them is designated.
Just,
Tafadhal.
no, please, Ustaz Sadqa.
You just said, except for your servants, the mukhlasin, and it's been translated here as your chosen servants. That's a difference between mukhlisin and mukhlasin. Mukhlasin meaning the chosen servants, mukhlisin meaning the sincere servants. That's why many people, when they make du'as, Allahumma ja'alna min ibadika al-mukhlasin al-mukhlisin. Perhaps we can make this in our du'as as well. But he says something very bit different here. قَالَ رَبِّ بِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي. Sheikh Nuh has translated here as, my Lord, now because you have led me foul.
This part here.
And then he uses the same thing. لَأُزَيِّنَنَّ لَهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. Sometimes it surprises me how he finds the bravery, but in a very negative way, to say such words in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's presence. Ustaz Ahmad, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I'm just going to mention this story appears various times throughout the Quran about where Shaitan gives his reasoning of superiority of being created from fire, and whereas the Adam alayhi salam being created from clay, which is motivated by pride and this wrong reasoning, and so he says, I'm better than him. So this unfortunately is an expression of arrogance, like which we can also see in different ways it being manifested in today's world as well. We always find a reason to think that we are better than the other for one reason or not. And I think this is something that we really need to take heed of, because when the Prophet says, whoever has a grain, of arrogance in his heart will not enter Jannah. So perhaps whenever we feel arrogance or we feel pride or we are better than the other, we should seek refuge from shaitan in Allah and humble ourselves, inshallah.
Yeah, the Quran constantly says in Adu Mubin, Fattakhiduhu Aduwa. He is your clear, open enemy, so take him as an enemy. The more we distance from these reminders, and perhaps that's why the Quran reminds us, is we have a need to take someone as an enemy. When we don't take Satan as an enemy, we start taking others as an enemy. Like you said, that's why sometimes we take races as an enemy, or these people, or the white people, or the black, but we're forgetting there's an actual individual who has, like, he's disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's his sole purpose to lead us astray. And some people even, the lighter we take Satan, or we don't see him as a real figure, it's very against the Quranic teachings.
And in comparison, Adam alayhi salam is from clay. We're from earth. We're lowly. So I think that should also remind us of our humility, to be humble as well, inshallah.
Yeah, jinns are made from nar, the fire. Angels are made from nur, from the same root word. So he thinks he's a bit better, obviously. Here also it says that the hellfire has 7 gates. According to hadith, Jannah has 8 gates. Allah's rahmah is bigger than Allah's punishment. One of the gates of Al-Jannah is Ar-Rayyan. We were reading a unique interpretation of that yesterday in the class. And apparently it means to be quenched. Ar-Rayyan. I think it might have something. So it's the highest level of quenching. And it's a gate that only the people of fasting people can enter it. And once the last one of them are entered, no one else can enter it. That gate is closed. يَدْخُلُونَهَا الصَّائِمُونَ. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be of those who enter through that gate, inshallah.
The righteous in paradise. Indeed, the righteous will be amid gardens and springs. It will be said to them, enter in peace and security. We will remove whatever bitterness they had in their hearts. In a friendly manner, they will be on thrones facing one another. No fatigue will touch them there, nor will they ever be asked to leave. Allah's grace and torment.
Just the Quran a few times, وَنَزَعْنَا مَا فِي صُدُورِهِمْ مِنْ غِلٍّ. This sort of rancor that sometimes we have as Muslims for each other. It's very disappointing, but one thing that's hopeful is that it gets, inshallah, the good news is that it gets removed before we enter into Jannah. Perhaps when we see groups of brothers that we have differences with, it's perhaps a part of a normal thing. We shouldn't make too big of these differences. And if these negative feelings sometimes affect us, inshallah, we can pray firstly that it gets removed from our heart, or at least from others' heart, or at least this can be removed before we go into Jannah. But if we can try to remove these while we're on earth, the better it is for us, inshallah.
And we know, Ustad, that there is a dua that we can say, ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا للإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غل للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك غفور رحيم. That, oh Allah, please forgive us and forgive those who came before us or preceded us in faith. And do not place any bitterness or any ill will towards anyone else. And then indeed, you are the most forgiving, the most merciful. I guess, like, we learn from that dua that the importance of understanding that, the people that came, there were people that came before us that may have been different to us, and we have our faith because of them as well, because we have this chain by which we receive our faith through the scholars and through those who are rightly guided, and that we shouldn't have any enmity for those people. And in the end, that even Allah, I find it beautiful that when we end that dua, we say um, that Allah is the most forgiving, the most merciful. So if Allah can forgive, who are we to hold enmity or hold bitterness in our hearts?
It can be very toxic and very against the spirit of brotherhood. Inshallah. Inshallah, we can. The things that unite us as Muslims are much greater. It's like the stone, the Kaaba, and the things that we disagree on are little pebbles.
Allah's grace and torment. Inform my servants, O Prophet, that I am truly the all-forgiving, most merciful, and that my torment is indeed the most painful. Abraham visited by angels. And inform them, O Prophet, about Abraham's guests, who entered upon him and greeted him with peace. He later said, "Surely we are afraid of you." They reassured him, "Do not be afraid. Surely we give you good news of a knowledgeable son." He wondered, "Do you give me good news despite my old age? What unlikely news?" They responded, "We give you good news in all truth, so do not be one of those who despair." He exclaimed, "Who would despair of the mercy of their Lord except the misguided?" He then added, "What is your mission, O messenger angels?" They replied, "We have actually been sent to a wicked people. As for the family of Lot, we will certainly deliver them all except his wife. We have determined that she will be one of the doomed." Lot visited by angels. So when the messengers came to the family of Lot, no,
Qaddarna. It's a bit interesting. We have determined that should be of those that'll be doomed. This hasn't been, I think. Yeah, it's interesting the angels come to visit Ibrahim alayhi salam first, and they give the good news. Perhaps they give the good news, some have commented, to neutralize the shocking news that they're gonna mention afterwards. A bit of be a mubashir before a nadir. But also, I guess, I wonder if Ibrahim alayhi salam's superiority, he's the main Rasul, where we can see like Lut alayhi salam's like a Nabi, just like Harun was to Musa alayhi salam. So the angels, out of respect, visit Ibrahim first, then to the then Lut alayhi salam. There's some Allah alam superiority that's being observed.
I guess they're honoring Ibrahim alayhi salam by like letting him know. Is that what you're trying to say, Ustad?
That's right, letting him know, and almost like, the angels, the way they deal with the prophets is a bit different. Even when they take their souls, the angel of death usually asks permission from those prophets. And because Ibrahim alayhi salam, these communities were his people, they almost like, obviously, like the other verses in Surah Ibrahim says, Ibrahim, stop, you can't stop pleading, this matter is determined. They're not making istishara. The command has come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there's this adab with the prophets. Allahu alam.
Lot visited by angels. So when the messengers came to the family of Lot, he said, "You are surely an unfamiliar people." They responded, "We have come to you with that torment which they have doubted. We come to you with the truth, and we are certainly truthful. So travel with your family in the dark of night and follow closely behind them. Do not let any of you look back and go where you are commanded. We revealed to him this decree: those sinners will be uprooted in the morning."
There's a hadith, if not, I can't remember right now. it says the word adlaja. Whoever wants to reach their destination, let him, it's talking about a musafir, traveler, uh, let him leave early in the morning. A lot of this keeps getting mentioned, leave in the darkness of the morning. There's this special barakah at that time, and the punishment is often coming at this time of the day, early morning time, but after the like musbihin, yeah, travel in the dark. Whoever wishes to reach their destination, I forgot the falyudlij or adlaja, the hadith says, inshallah.
Yeah, I think it's crept into the Turkish proverbs as well. There's a saying which
Oh, yeah.
goes, "Erken kalkan yol alır." So one who wakes up early will cover distance. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's almost like the hadith taken, bang, put into the culture. Like,
Yeah, sometimes there are these behind these sayings, there are these hadith. A lot of this. Thank you.
Destruction of the people of Lot. And there came the men of the city rejoicing. Lot pleaded, "Indeed, these are my guests. Do not embarrass them. Fear Allah and do not humiliate me." They responded, "Have we not forbidden you from protecting anyone?" He said, "O my people, here are my daughters, so marry them if you wish to do so. By your life, O Prophet, they certainly wandered blindly, intoxicated by lust. So the mighty blast overtook them at sunrise. We turned the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah upside down and rained upon them stones of baked clay. Surely in this are signs for those who contemplate. Their ruins still lie along a known route. Surely in this is a sign for those who believe. The people of
The Prophet-
Shu'aib.
the Prophet's life is mentioned here. According, I'm not sure, I heard that we have to double check this, but that the daughters of Lut alayhi salam are described negatively in the Bible. If you guys know anything of that, Ibrahim Hoja or Ustad Ahmed. But it's clearly not the case uh, with the Quran. And there's obviously that translation, that tafsir, that he's by daughters, he could mean the woman of his nation that he was sent to. But he was prevented from giving, like hosting guests from outside. And as a reminder, Lut alayhi salam was not from this people. قالوا أولم ننهك عن العالمين. Like, he couldn't just have guests from outside the place and host them. And his citizen rights were already restricted. And in the other verses, it mentions that, I wish I had a strong pillar that I could rely on. He says, and our Prophet says, "May Allah have mercy on my brother Lut. Indeed, he did have a strong pillar that he relied on." Yeah.
The people of Shu'aib. And the residents of the forest were truly wrongdoers. So we inflicted punishment upon them. The ruins of both nations still lie on a well known road. The people of Saleh. Indeed, the residents of the stone valley also denied the messengers. We gave them our signs, but they turned away from them. They carved their homes in the mountains, feeling secure, but the mighty blast overtook them in the morning, and all they achieved was of no help to them.
Ustad Sadek,
Advice to
these
the
sorry, Ustad Ibrahim, these carved houses in Jordan. A friend visited them just recently.
In Petra,
Yeah, Petra. Yeah, are those the ones they believed to be from the time of Salih alayhi salam, or do you know anything about it?
I'm not sure, but there are these other sites I think that they're actually called Hijr
Hmm.
in Saudi Arabia. They're like in the middle of a desert, this massive stone rising, and they've got carved places in them. And now that's a UNESCO protected site.
Mm.
And recent changes in Saudi Arabia, they want to increase tourism to those sites and all that. But I think that's a popular belief that that's one of those places.
Mm.
But yeah, I've been to Petra. You can see it feels weird when you're there as well. They're literally carved into the mountains. Very nice rooms you can walk in. You almost feel like camping there.
Mm.
Our Prophet, when he was traveling past these places, he would often sometimes tell the caravan to go faster. Or if you stayed there, he wouldn't sometimes even drink the water from these cursed, these places that have been cursed. That was very well known to the Arabs, these places. And the oral tradition of what happened was still going around, very common. They carve things out of mountains into mountains, thinking that they're very well protected, strong, well built homes.
Advice to the Prophet. We have not created the heavens and the earth and everything in between except for a purpose. And the hour is certain to come, so forgive graciously. Surely your Lord is the Master Creator, all-knowing. We have certainly granted you the 7 often repeated verses and the great Quran. Do not let your eyes crave the fleeting pleasures we have provided for some of the disbelievers, nor grieve for them, and be gracious to the believers.
How was 87 for you over here? Is it basically the 7 often repeated verses and the Quran? One view of this is that it's Surah Fatiha. Can we see what it says?
Yeah, it says here Surah 1, so Surah Fatiha.
Here it says here, verily we have vouchsafed you the 7 tremendous verses oft repeated and the mighty Quran. Yeah, the very popular view is that it's Surah Fatiha, but there are other views as well.
Yeah, there is
More
a
advice.
hadith which mentions that
Sorry.
sort of study that by the one in whose hand is my soul, God did not reveal the like of the Fatiha in the Torah, Gospel, Psalms, or anywhere else in the Quran. It is the mother of the book and the 7 oft repeated. So the Prophet mentioned it in a hadith. Mm.
I guess in the context of Ramadan, that Allah says Shahru Ramadan allazi unzila fihi al-Quran hudan, it's kind of that the month of Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was revealed as a guidance. And here we see that the Quran is mentioned and Surah Fatiha is mentioned. And then it tells us, do not let your eyes crave the fleeting pleasures. So Allah creates this link between the Quran as a form of guidance which prevents us, which can keep us away from becoming too desiring of the pleasures of this world. So to maybe we can take this as some advice if we feel like we have some kind of disease of the heart in which we feel like we crave too much of this world, that turning to the Quran is something that we can do to try and cure that disease. And of course, we know that by looking at the signs of the people from before, the people of Saleh, the people of Shu'aib, the people of Lut, that's a warning to us that makes us consider the things that we do and the things that we desire.
Jazakallah khair.
There's actually a saying from Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. He says, whoever is given the Quran and thinks that anything given to him from this world is better than what he has been given, has deemed a great thing small and a small thing great.
Well, that's
It's a really nice.
what you just said.
Yeah.
اللهم اجعل القرآن ربيع قلوبنا آمين يا رب العالمين.
آمين. More advice to the Prophet, and say, I am truly sent with a clear warning, a warning similar to what we sent down to those who divided the scriptures, who now accept parts of the Quran, rejecting others. So by your Lord, we will certainly question them all about what they used to do. So proclaim what you have been commanded and turn away from the polytheists. Surely we will be sufficient for you against the mockers, who set up other gods with Allah. They will soon come to know. Allah is the refuge. We certainly know that your heart is truly distressed by what they say. So glorify the praises of your Lord and be one of those who always pray and worship your Lord until the inevitable comes your way. So,
The most majority of tafsir scholars say the yaqeen here is referring to a death. Keep worshipping your Lord until death comes your way. Unfortunately, some people have been misguided by their wrong understanding of this verse. Some people have said, "Oh, now that I've reached a level of yaqeen, certainty, I don't need to worship. I don't need to pray anymore." I've actually heard of individuals who've had this attitude. They're still alive. May Allah guide us and guide them. This verse has also been, if I'm not mistaken, one Bedouin Arab became Muslim when he heard this verse. فَاصْدَعْ بِمَا تُؤْمَرْ وَأَعْرِضْ عَنِ الْمُشْرِكِينَ was one of the verses that he said the balagha of it was amazing. 94. So fearlessly proclaim what you've been commanded and ignore idolatrators. The word fasda, also the word head, is from the same root word, and they carry out these commandments to the point where you can imagine it can even cause that.
Just verse 97 where it says your heart is truly distressed by what they say, and in other parts of the Quran as well, Surah Kaf, it says فَلَعَلَكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ عَلَى آثَارِهِمْ إِن لَّمْ يُؤْمِنُوا بِهَذَا الْحَدِيثِ أَسَفًا. You're almost going to destroy yourself just because they do not believe in the message. So the distress here is, according to Tafsir, that distress that they do not believe in the message and their failure to understand the message. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is like, look how he takes it for their salvation is distressed for the hereafter. So it's I think a nice nuance.
yeah, I think we see that parallel in the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam that we mentioned before, that he tries to make an argument with the angels, like, or tries to convince them, not to punish the people of Lut, and because he's worried about them, and the Prophet ﷺ, as his successor or as his descendant, also has the same love, the same care, but not only for the people of his own time, but all the way even to us, that he has concern for us, and he thinks about and he thought about us constantly. He's truly like an amazing example for us, that they care about, that he cared about the people many generations later, and would cry and would stand up at night for us. Inshallah, we can have some concern, or give the right of that concern that he had to us. Should I pass it on to someone else for this one to take the next?
I'm happy to read, inshallah. So Surah 16, Bees and Nahl. This Meccan surah, also known as the chapter of blessings, Surah An-Ni'am, takes its name from the bees mentioned in verses 68, 69, which are described as one of Allah's numerous favors to humanity. Instead of showing gratitude to Allah for all these blessings, the pagans willfully set up idols, associating them with Allah in worship. They are also condemned for burying their daughters alive, verses 58 and 59. References are made to grateful believers and ungrateful disbelievers, among with the ultimate reward for each group. Abraham alayhi salam is cited close to the end of the surah as a grateful servant of Allah, whose example should be emulated by all believers. The surah concludes by instructing the Prophet ﷺ to endure patiently and invite all to the way of Allah with wisdom and grace. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, most merciful. Warning of judgment. The command of Allah is at hand, so do not hasten it. Glorified and exalted is He above what they associate with Him in worship. Allah's favors. Number one, divine guidance. He sends down the angels with revelation by His command to whoever He wills of His servants, stating, warn humanity that there is no God worthy of worship except me, so be mindful of me alone. Favor number two, the heavens and earth. He created the heavens and the earth for a purpose. Exalted is He above what they associate with Him in worship. Number three, creation of humans. He created humans from a sperm drop, then behold, they openly challenge Him.
Here in verse number 2, He sends down the angel with the spirit, it says, right? It says with revelation. This is one verse. I think there's another verse that the revelation can also be called the ruh. Ustaz Ahmed, you mentioned before how some have said the Quran is the ruh of the universe, is the Quran. This is one verse that alludes to that. I think there's another verse as well. One thing I love about the surah, it's like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala it's a unique one to Surah Nahl. Now He's going to start continuing mentioning His blessings. It's like Surah Rahman says, which of your my favors you deny. But this surah mentions the blessings perhaps the most of all the surahs. Allah Allah.
Favor number four, animals. And He created the cattle for you as a source of warmth, food, and many other benefits. They are also pleasing to you when you bring them home and when you take them out to graze. And they carry your loads to distant lands which you could not otherwise reach without great hardship. Surely your Lord is ever gracious, most merciful. He also created horses, mules, and donkeys for your transportation and adornment, and He creates what you do not know. Favor number five, the way of Islam.
I've used this verse as a reason to show that horses' meat should not be eaten because it's been litarkabu wa zina, so that you ride it and for adornment. But that argument can be, I think in the Hanafi fiqh it's seen as makruh, if I'm not mistaken. But it can be questioned, that argument. Sometimes when the Quran says وَالْخَيْلَ وَالْبِغَالَ وَالْحَمِيرَ لِتَرْكَبُوا, these three were created for this reason. Sometimes that for reason might not be the only reason. There could be other reasons as well. So when the person reading the Quran, we're going into a fiqh discussion, but sometimes the fuqaha will look at the Quran and have a fiqh commentary as well. We know Ahkam al-Quran by the famous Andalusian scholar was like that. But anyway, so these particles, lam, for, it's not only exclusive sometimes. It can appear exclusive, but that's not always the case.
Favor number five, the way of Islam. It is upon Allah alone to clearly show the straight way. Other ways are deviant. Had He willed, He would have easily imposed guidance upon all of you. Number six, water. He is the one who sends down rain from the sky, from which you drink and by which plants grow for your cattle to graze. With it He produces for you various crops, olives, palm trees, grapevines, and every type of fruit. Surely in this is a sign for those who reflect. Number seven, celestial events. And he has subjected for you, for your benefit, the day and the night, the sun and the moon. And the stars have been subjected by his command. Surely in this are signs for those who understand. Number 8, other creation. And he subjected for you whatever he has created on earth of varying colors. Surely in this is a sign for those who are mindful. Number 9, seas. And he is the one who has subjected the sea, so from it you may eat tender seafood and extract ornaments to wear. And you see the ships ploughing their way through it, so you may seek his bounty and give thanks to him. Natural marvels. Number 10. He has placed into the earth firm mountains, so it does not shake with you, as well as rivers and pathways, so you may find your way. Also by landmarks and stars do people find their way.
Do we have
Just
any other thing? Yeah, تفضل.
just to comment on all of these signs that are shown, I think what we see is Allah makes clear mention of the variety of all creation. One of the scientific theories is that as the universe expands, the natural tendency of a system such as the universe is to become uniform, for everything to become the same. And that uniformity, like, because as the energy of the universe spreads, it should spread equally throughout, that everything will try and reach some form of equilibrium. But we see in these favors or these mentions of these creations of Allah that there is so much variety. It shows us that there is some kind of active force, there is some kind of active fashioning in the universe. So it's not like the universe is left by itself. There are also scientific theories that, the ultimate form of evolution is to become like a crab, because they have, like, they're very hardy, they only die from if they become infected, those kind of things. But we see that all of creation hasn't come to this state of becoming like a crab, but rather we see this variety, and not only in the creation of animals, but also in the creation of the stars. How there's certain dense elements of stars, and there are planets which are different, and they're always moving, they're always changing, that we don't have any uniformity, even though the universe is expanding, even though the universe is spread out, and there are many gaps in there where there is pretty much nothing. So it shows that there is some kind of active creation going on, and Allah is always there. And from that we can understand that Allah is the one that is always giving us breath, and therefore Allah is closer to us in our jugular vein and ever present in everything that we do. I think it gives us a form of taqwa, a form of consciousness of him that we can have just by looking at the universe around us.
Was there something you want to mention, Mr. Sadiq?
No.
Okay. Almighty Allah, or powerless gods, can the one who creates be equal to those who do not? Will you not then be mindful? If you tried to count Allah's blessings, you would never be able to number them. Surely Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. And Allah knows what you conceal and what you reveal. By those idols they invoke besides Allah cannot create anything. They themselves are created. They are dead, not alive, not even knowing when their followers will be resurrected. Your God is only one God, and for those who do not believe in the hereafter, their hearts are in denial and they are too proud. Without doubt, Allah knows what they conceal and what they reveal. He certainly does not like those who are too proud. Reward of the wicked. And when it is said to them, what has your Lord revealed? They say, ancient fables. Let them bear their burdens in full on the day of judgment, as well as some of the burdens of those they mislead without knowledge. Evil indeed is what they will bear. Indeed, those before them had plotted, but Allah struck at the very foundation of their structure, so the roof collapsed on top of them, and the torment came upon them from where they did not expect. Then on the day of judgment, he will humiliate them and say, "Where are my so-called associate gods for those for whose sake you used to oppose the believers?" Those gifted with knowledge will say, "Surely disgrace and misery today are upon the disbelievers." Those whose souls the angels seize while they wrong themselves will then offer full submission and say falsely, "We did not do any evil." The angels will say, "No, surely Allah fully knows what you used to do. So enter the gates of hell to stay there forever. Indeed, what an evil home for the arrogant."
Arrogance has been mentioned a few times in these few verses. It's like the root cause of any evil.
Reward of the righteous. And when it is said to those mindful of Allah, "What has your Lord revealed?" they say, "All the best. For those who do good in this world, there is goodness. But far better is the eternal home of the hereafter. How excellent indeed is the home of the righteous. The gardens of eternity which they will enter, under which rivers flow. In it they will have whatever they desire. This is how Allah rewards the righteous, those whose souls the angels take while they are virtuous, saying to them, "Peace be upon you, and to paradise for what you used to do." Warning to pagan deniers. Are they only awaiting the coming of the angels or the command of your Lord, O Prophet? So were those before them, and Allah never wronged them, but it was they who wronged themselves. Then the evil consequences of their deeds overtook them, and they were overwhelmed by what they used to ridicule.
Out of Allah's mercy for the believers, the best of what they do is how they get dealt with, rewarded based on the best of what they do. But out of His justice for others, the sins of what they do is what destroys them.
There's a saying by Rumi where he mentions that he mentions a dream that he had where he went he went into this area, and he goes there, and then he says, like, "What is this place?" And then the person that is there, or the being that is there, says, "This is a hellfire." And then he says that, "But this hellfire, it's like cold. There's like nothing here. There's nothing for, there's no fire. It's supposed to be hot, and it's supposed to be like, it's supposed to be, a place that's, very difficult to be in." And that being that is there says, "Oh, like everyone that comes here, they bring their own fire, and they bring their own fuel for that fire, and that is by which they are punished." So I think this links to this verse here, that that those who end up in the fire, those who end up being punished, it is because they are just wronging themselves, and we are just wronging ourselves. May Allah protect us from falling into that trap.
Inshallah.
Just one a bit, 27. Sometimes certain words are used in a surah more than once compared to others. In 27 it says, they finally and even dire on resurrection day, He shall humiliate them and say, "Where are my partners for whom you so bitterly contended?" Tusharquna fihim. Right at the beginning of the surah, it said, we gave you cattle, and through it you can travel through the lands, and they carry your goods, which would have been very difficult. Again, a similar word is used, shirk anfus. It's like there's extreme difficulty. It's almost like saying there's extreme difficulty in shirk. You're forcing yourself into it. Sorry, I said that a bit out of context. I mean, faster.
false argument. The polytheists argue, had Allah willed, neither we nor our forefathers would have worshipped anything other than Him, nor prohibited anything without His command. So did those before them. Is not the messenger's duty only to deliver the message clearly? Same fate. We surely sent a messenger to every community saying, worship Allah and shun false gods. But some of them were guided by Allah, while others were destined to stray. So travel throughout the land and see the fate of the deniers. Even though you, O Prophet, are keen on their guidance, Allah certainly does not guide those who leaves to stray, and they will have no helpers. The resurrection. They swear by Allah their most solemn oaths that Allah will never raise the dead to life. Yes, He will. It is a true promise binding on Him, but most people do not know. He will do that to make clear to them what they disagreed on, and for the disbelievers to know that they were liars. If we ever will something to exist, all we say is be, and it is. Reward of
Read verse 37 again. Okay, can I just see the translation of 37? Allah certainly does not guide those He leaves to stray. Surely Allah guides none whom for their own ill choices He has made. Okay. Just the very first verse 35 on this page. It always shows that a wrong understanding of qadr is always used for people to justify their own evil. And it's also a wrong understanding of qadr, destiny, both within Islam and outside Islam, that can be very dangerous. False aqidah leads to false actions and justifications.
Important to study Aqidah.
Yeah.
Right. The reward of the steadfast. As for those who immigrated in the cause of Allah after being persecuted, we will surely bless them with a good home in this world. But the reward of the hereafter is far better if only they knew. It is they who have patiently endured, and in their Lord they put their trust. Messengers are not angels. We did not send messengers before you, O Prophet, except were man inspired by us. If you polytheists do not know this already, then ask those who have knowledge of the scriptures. We sent them with clear proofs and divine books, and we have sent down to you, a prophet, the reminder, so that you may explain to people what has been revealed for them, and perhaps they will reflect.
Some people question the role of the Sunnah, very explicitly said here, and we revealed to you the dhikr, so that you may make plain to mankind what has been sent down to them. لَتُبَيِّنَ. And Imam Shafi, his whole book of Risala is based on how the Prophet's Sunnah acts as a bayan of the Quran. And if I'm not mistaken, he quotes this verse. Or it could be another verse, but it's with the word لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ. So the zikr has been sent, but our Prophet is the one that makes bayan of it. And here also that verse we spoke yesterday, that وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن قَبْلِكَ إِلَّا رِجَالًا نُوحِي. Because of verses like this, mainstream Sunni scholars have said only prophets or only men from amongst the nations. I mean, all the prophets were men. The verse 41, spoke about hijrah. I wonder if any of our sources, if that verse could have been revealed a bit later on, because this is meant to be a Meccan verse, or maybe it was revealed and there was a hijrah that was happening to Abyssinia, or it was a bit of a prelude to the hijrah that was going to happen.
Okay. Yeah. after having been wronged, may refer to the various forms of persecution that the Prophet and his Meccan companions endured before leaving for Medina, and to the persecution of those who had migrated earlier to Abyssinia. So perhaps it could be referring to. Okay. Verse number 43, right? Where we're up to?
Probably 45, I think.
Yeah, no worries. Warning to the wicked. Do those who devise evil plots feel secure that Allah will not cause the earth to swallow them, or that the torment will not come upon them in ways they cannot comprehend, or that He will not seize them while they go about their day, for then they will have no escape, or that He will not destroy them gradually, but your Lord is truly ever gracious, most merciful. Everything submits to Allah. Have they not considered how the shadows of everything Allah has created incline to the right and the left as the sun moves, totally submitting to Allah in all humility, and to Allah alone bows down in submission whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth of living creatures, and so do the angels who are not too proud to do so. They fear their Lord above them and do whatever they are commanded. One God alone. And Allah has said,
sunrise hidden? Sunrise has happened.
7:01, I think it was 7 o'clock. What's the time?
Okay. So maybe we do a sajda afterwards. We just read the sajda verse.
Have they not considered how the shadows... Oh, sorry, we read that, right? And Allah has said, do not take two gods. There's only one God, so be in awe of me alone. To Him belongs whatever is in the heavens and the earth, and to Him alone is the everlasting devotion. Will you then fear any other than Allah? Maybe I'll read this part and pass it on, inshallah. In gratitude to Allah, whatever blessings you have are from Allah. Then whenever hardship touches you, to Him alone you cry for help. Then as soon as He removes the hardship from you, a group of you associates others with their Lord in worship, only returning our favors with ingratitude. So enjoy yourselves, for you will soon know.
Should I read, Ustaz Ahmed? From which page?
I can continue with that if you like, if you would like to comment and look at some sources. But if you would like to read, you can read as well.
Read as well. You can comment. Okay, I read 3-4 pages, inshallah. Offering to idols. And they even assign to those idols who know nothing a share of what we have provided for them. By Allah, you will certainly be questioned about whatever lies you used to fabricate against Allah. Allah's daughters, Hasha, and they attribute angels as daughters to Allah. Glory be to Him, the opposite of what they desire for themselves.
Subhanallah.
Whenever one of them is given the good news of a baby girl, his face grows gloomy and he suppresses his rage. He hides himself from the people because of the bad news he has received. Should he keep her in disgrace or bury her alive in the ground? Evil indeed is their judgment. To those who disbelieve in the hereafter belong all evil qualities, whereas to Allah belongs the finest attributes, and He is the Almighty, All-Wise. Ibrahim, were you going to say something?
No, I think it was made clear in the next few verses.
Yeah, either he's thinking the person, either he'll keep the daughter, which is a source of shame for him, or he'll bury her. That's how he sees the two options in front of him.
Ibn Ajib is saying that this should act as a chastisement for those people who dislike daughters.
And Allah subhanahu is criticizing the two things. One is their view on daughters, and then the other thing is also at the beginning of the section, them attributing daughters to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Favor 11, allowing time for repentance. If Allah were to punish people immediately for their wrongdoing, He would not have left a single living being on earth. But He delays them for an appointed term, and when their time arrives, they cannot delay it for a moment, nor could they advance it. Empty hopes. They attribute to Allah what they hate for themselves, and their tongues utter the lie that they will have the finest reward. Without a doubt, for them is the fire where they will be abandoned. Evil communities. By Allah, we have surely sent messengers to communities before you, O Prophet. But Satan made their misdeeds appealing to them. So he is their patron today, and they will suffer a painful punishment. We revealed to you the book only to clarify for them what they differed about, and as a guide and mercy for those who believe.
That's how this part where it says deferred about, and we've read this a few times now in the translations. So this is mainly in relation to the hereafter and the creed. We know the Meccans, they believed in Allah, but then the creed was not correct. Also association patterns with Allah. They didn't have a concept of hereafter, and so these are the things that they would differ about. The Quran comes very clear and puts a very clear creed as well. Allah's oneness, unity is throughout the Quran. Hereafter, the Qiyamah is pretty much on any page of the Quran. So these are very clear, set in stone concepts. Alhamdulillah.
65. Favor rain. Number 12. And Allah sends down rain from the sky, giving life to the earth after its death. Surely in this is a sign for those who listen. Favor 13. Cattle and milk. And there is certainly a lesson for you in cattle. We give you to drink of what is in their bellies, from between digested food and blood, pure milk, pleasant to drink. And from the fruits of palm trees and grapevines you derive intoxicants, as well as wholesome provision. Surely in this is a sign for those who understand. Do you want to check that 502, Ustaz Ahmed or Ustaz Ibrahim?
Pleasant for those who drink. SubhanAllah, it's really interesting that in terms of the biology that, Allah mentions that milk is produced from the mix of the food and the blood. And also then it talks about the intoxicants and how they have been, and like how from the grapevines we can derive intoxicants, and we know that consuming alcohol while a person is breastfeeding can have detriment to the child that feeds from it. So Allah makes this link here, and now we know about the disease, fetal. I can't remember the name of the disease, but yes, it comes from that whole point that breastfeeding mothers have or they consume alcohol, and that can cause issues with the development of the child.
Obviously, this verse was revealed way before intoxicants were prohibited. Here it's used almost like it's encountered as one of the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Favor 14, bees and honey. And your Lord inspired the bees. Make your homes in the mountains, the trees, and in what people construct. And feed from the flower of any fruit you please. And follow the ways your Lord has made easy for you. From their bellies come forth liquid of varying colors, in which there is healing for people. Surely in this is a sign for those who reflect.
I'd like to mention here, Ustad, we recently, my nephew, he has a bee colony, and after a while, after a year, or I think 2 years, he can split he split the hive and he gave us half of it. They're Australian stingless bees, so they don't sting you. But I found it quite amazing that as soon as he brought it to our house, the bees within the same day they get on with their duty straight away. They've come to a new place, which is must be, for the bees, they could never travel that far themselves. They're in a completely new place, but straight away they start to fulfill their purpose, which is pollinating and collecting the pollen and moving it from one plant to another, from one flower to another. Inshallah, like we get this amazing example in this creation that nothing stops these insects from doing their purpose. But sometimes we have excuses and we say, oh, I'm not able to fulfill my rights to Allah because of this, because of that. But even these bees who have nothing, they just get on straight away. It's amazing how they expand, how they move around, how they work together. Yeah, subhanallah.
Does your have a queen as well?
Yeah, they also have a queen. Yeah, must have a queen. And they're different. They're very different to normal honeybees. There's so much variety when I looked into it, and in the different types of bees that there are. And because they don't produce honey, they don't have stingers, because animals are less likely to steal from their honey. They produce honey, but very less. That's another form of the variety in Allah's creation.
As we know, the miracle of some have pointed is that the Quran is speaking in the feminine. And so they say the role of the honey. But then it says, follow the paths of your Lord. Fasluki subula rabbiki dhulula. It's almost like it's speaking to bees as if it's a community, which it is, but speaking to the queen. But they also have to follow the paths of their laws. A companion came complaining about his brother having an injured stomach, and the Prophet said, drink some honey. He came once, twice, 3 times saying it still hasn't been healed. And the Prophet says, your brother's stomach is lying, Allah's not lying. That's the shifa and honey. The 4th time he goes and has the honey, he gets cured from the illness in his stomach. No. Allah's power over humans. Allah has created you and then causes you to die. And some of you are left to reach the most feeble stage of life so that they may know nothing after having known much. Indeed, Allah is all-knowing, most capable. Arda lil umr is a dua of the Prophet. Allahumma inna na'udhu bika an nuraddu ila arda lil umr. Obviously, none of us want to reach that stage, but if someone does reach that stage, we have to obviously deal with them with compassion and not think of anything ill of them. Provision 15. And Allah has favored some of you over others in provision, but those who have been favored would not share their wealth with those bonds people in their possession, making them their equals. Do they then deny Allah's favors? Spouses and offspring, and Allah has made for you spouses of your own kind and given you through your spouses children and grandchildren. And He has granted you good, lawful provisions. Are they then faithful to falsehood and ungrateful for Allah's favor? Parables for powerless gods and Almighty Allah. Yet they worship besides Allah those idols who do not afford them any provision from the heavens and the earth, nor do they have the power to. So do not set up equals to Allah, for Allah certainly knows and you do not know. Allah sets forth a parable. A slave who lacks all means compared to a free man to whom we granted a good provision, of which he donates freely, openly and secretly. Are they equal? Praise be to Allah. In fact, most of them do not know. And Allah sets forth a parable of two men. One of them is dumb, incapable of anything. He is a burden on his master. Wherever he is sent, he brings no good. Can such a person be equal to the one who commands justice and is on the straight path? Allah's knowledge and might. To Allah alone belongs the knowledge of the unseen in the heavens and the earth. Bringing about the hour would only take the blink of an eye or even less. Surely Allah is most capable of everything. And Allah brought you out of the wombs of your mothers while you knew nothing, and gave you hearing, sight, and intellect, so perhaps you would be thankful. Birds. Have they not seen the birds glide in the open sky? None holds them except Allah. Surely in this are signs for those who believe. Favor 19 homes, and Allah has made your homes a place to rest and has given you tents from the hide of animals, light to handle when you travel and when you camp. And out of their wool, fur, and hair, He has given you furnishings and goods for a while. Favor 20 shelters, and Allah has provided you shade out of what He created, and He has given you shelter in the mountains. He has also provided you with clothes protecting you from the heat and cold, and armor shielding you in battle. This is how He perfects His favors upon you, so perhaps you will fully submit to Him. That was 81. Denying Allah's favors. But if they turn away, then your duty, O Prophet, is only to deliver the message clearly. They are aware of Allah's favors, but still deny them, and most of them are truly ungrateful. يَعْرِفُونَ نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ ثُمَّ يُنْكِرُونَهَا. They recognize, they acknowledge the blessings of Allah, then they deny it. Very explicit, like they're convinced of it, then they deny it. And the opposite of shukr is kufr. Now, Mustad Ahmed.
I was just going to mention, I think there's a good message for us as well in here, that especially in countries where we are very well off and things which are considered perhaps luxury become standard entitlements for us. And you understand that when you step outside and let's say go to a third world country, you start seeing these blessings as really important blessings. And I think it's always good to take a step back and remember these blessings, make the shukr of them as much as we can, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Fate of the disbelievers. Consider, O Prophet, the day we will call a prophet as a witness from every faith community. Then the disbelievers will neither be allowed to plead nor appease their Lord. And when the wrongdoers face the punishment, it will not be lightened for them, nor will they be delayed from it. And when the polytheists see their associate gods, they will say, Our Lord, these are our associate gods that we used to invoke besides you. Their gods will throw a rebuttal at them, saying, You are definitely liars. So those false gods will throw a rebuttal. Like they'll be ashamed of their worship. They will offer full submission to Allah on that day, and whatever gods they fabricated will fail them. For those who disbelieve and hinder others from the way of Allah, we will add more punishment to their punishment for all the corruption they spread.
So one of us can take over if you like, inshallah. The
Sure.
last 3 pages, maybe about 4. So Ibrahim, would you like to read, or I'm happy to read as well?
No, I can read, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. Okay.
Prophet's witness against disbelievers. 89. Consider, O Prophet, the day we will call against every faith community a witness of their own, and we will call you to be a witness against these people of yours. We have revealed to you the book as an explanation of all things, a guide, a mercy, and good news for those who fully submit. Allah's commands and prohibitions. Indeed, Allah commands justice, grace, as well as courtesy to close relatives. He forbids indecency, wickedness, and aggression. He instructs you, so perhaps you will be mindful.
Famous verse that
We know
normally
these
gets
are
khutbas
mhm, in Jummah prayers. Yeah,
in
and
Jummah.
at the end of the khutbah. I guess that tells us how important these things are, that it is the practice to repeat them every Jummah. That this justice and grace and courtesy as well. Honoring pledges. Honor Allah's covenant when you make a pledge
Sorry,
and do not break
Ibrahim. I was just going to mention. I think there are some verses of the Quran. If you just practice that, will solve a good 50%, of the world's problems. I really think this is one of them. And
50% or 100%?
how well summarized.
I'm being a bit more cautious here. So, but yeah, inshallah. Sorry, please continue.
Honor Allah's covenant when you make a pledge and do not break your oaths after confirming them, having made Allah your guarantor. Surely Allah knows all you do. Do not be like the woman who foolishly unravels her yarn after it is firmly spun, by taking your oaths as a means of deceiving one another in favor of a stronger group. Surely Allah tests you through this, and on the day of judgment He will certainly make your differences clear to you. Favor 21, free choice. Had Allah willed, He could have easily made you one community of believers, but He leaves to stray whoever He wills and guides whoever He wills, and you will certainly be questioned about what you used to do. Honoring agreements, and do not take your oaths as a means of deceiving one another, or your feet will slip after they have been firm. Then you will taste the evil consequences of hindering others from the way of Allah, and you will suffer a tremendous punishment. And do not trade Allah's covenant for a fleeting gain. What is with Allah is certainly far better for you if only you knew. Whatever you have will, whatever you have will end, but whatever Allah has is everlasting, and we will certainly reward the steadfast according to the best of their deeds. Reward of the good doers. Whoever does good, whether male or female, and is a believer, we will surely bless them with a good life, and we will certainly reward them according to the best of their deeds. This is what you mentioned, Ustaz Sadiq, before, about the
Yeah,
believers being rewarded according to the best of their deeds.
yeah, and it's just come twice in a row. بأحسن ما كانوا يعملون.
That's right. Yeah.
96 and 97.
Advice to the believers. When you recite the Quran, seek refuge with Allah from Satan, the accursed. He certainly has no authority over those who believe and put their trust in their Lord. His authority is only over those who take him as a patron and who under his influence associate others with Allah in worship. Who is the fabricator? When we replace a verse with another, and Allah knows best what He reveals, they say, "You, Muhammad, are just a fabricator." In fact, most of them do not know. Say, the Holy Spirit has brought it down from your Lord with the truth to reassure the believers, and as a guide and good news for those who submit to Allah. And we surely know what that they say, no one is teaching him except a human, but the man they refer to speaks a foreign tongue, whereas this Quran is in eloquent Arabic. Surely those who do not believe in Allah's revelations will never be guided by Allah, and they will suffer a painful punishment. No one fabricates lies except those who disbelieve in Allah's revelations, and it is they who are the true liars. Abandoning faith. Whoever disbelieves in Allah after their belief, not those who are forced while their hearts are firm in faith, but those who embrace disbelief wholeheartedly, they will be condemned by Allah and suffer a tremendous punishment. This is because they prefer the life of this world over the hereafter. Surely Allah never guides those who choose to disbelieve. They are
If I'm not
they are the
mistaken,
ones.
Yasser, companion, when he sees his parents killed in front of him, and then he's forced to say a few words. He says it and he's very disappointed. And if I'm not mistaken, it's this verse that says he's not held. Does that mention it there? 5:11.
Let me check. Yep, that's right. Ammar bin Yasir.
Yeah. It says those who are forced, they're not held accountable. And even the Prophet said, to give them sort of consolation. Don't feel too bad at what you said against Islam. He said, if they repeat it to you, you repeat the same thing. You say it.
They are the ones whose hearts, ears, and eyes are sealed by Allah, and it is they who are truly heedless. Without a doubt, they will be the losers in the hereafter. As for those who emigrated after being compelled to renounce Islam, then struggled in Allah's cause and persevered, your Lord, O Prophet, is truly all forgiving, most merciful after all. Payday. Consider the day when every soul will come pleading for itself, and each will be paid in full for what it did, and none will be wronged. The ungrateful people. And Allah sets forth the example of a society which was safe and at ease, receiving its provision in abundance from all directions. But its people met Allah's favors with ingratitude, so Allah made them taste the clutches of hunger and fear for their misdeeds. A messenger
Here
of
is
their own
a whole community who believed, was safe, and then they didn't give shukr to the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This sets the context, and later, next page is going to come about Ibrahim alayhi salam, but these two verses match. Now,
A messenger of their own actually did come to them, but they denied him, so the torment overtook them while they persisted in wrongdoing. Lawful and prohibited foods. So eat from the good, lawful things which Allah has provided for you, and be grateful for Allah's favors if you truly worship Him alone. He has only forbidden you to eat carrion, blood, swine, and what is slaughtered in the name of any other than Allah. But if someone is compelled by necessity, neither driven by desire, nor exceeding immediate need, then surely Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. Warning to the polytheists. Do not falsely.
Sorry, Ustad Ibrahim. There's an important principle: necessities remove prohibitions. The fiqh principle. So I guess the verse is also referring to that too. So.
Warning to the polytheists. Do not falsely declare with your tongues, this is lawful and that is unlawful, only fabricating lies against Allah. Indeed, those who fabricate lies against Allah will never succeed. It is only a brief enjoyment, then they will suffer a painful punishment. Prohibited food for Jews. To the Jews, we have forbidden what we related to you before. We did not wrong them, but it was they who wronged themselves. Allah accepts repentance. As for those who commit evil ignorantly or recklessly, then repent afterwards and mend their ways, then your Lord is surely all forgiving, most merciful. Prophet Abraham. Indeed.
Ustad Ibrahim, just on the verse about we did not wrong them, but they wronged themselves. We did kind of mention it before, but there were additional prohibitions that were given to the Jews as a result of their disobedience. But we also know the process does not encourage questions to be asked on things that are not revealed or they are not given to them, so that it doesn't become a burden for them once they know the answer as well. So that's an important thing to keep in mind as well.
And they asked a lot of questions.
And that's important. So the religion is meant to Allah says He wills ease for you, doesn't ease hardship for you in Surah Baqarah. So I guess we don't want to make religion hard on ourselves and on others as well. While we strive to attain taqwa, which is on a personal level, inshallah, but especially for others, it's important to try to make religion as easy as possible. Yeah, I think we're going on to the last page, right, Ustad Imran?
Yeah.
Inshallah.
So we can wrap it up, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah.
Prophet Abraham. Indeed, Abraham was a model of excellence, devoted to Allah, perfectly upright, not a polytheist, utterly grateful for Allah's favors. So He chose him and guided him to the straight path. We blessed him with all goodness in this world, and in the hereafter he will certainly be among the righteous. Then we revealed to you, O Prophet, saying, follow the faith of Abraham, the upright, who was not one of the polytheists. Honoring the Sabbath was ordained only for those who disputed about Abraham, and surely your Lord will judge between them on the day of judgment regarding their disputes.
So Ibrahim alayhi salam has been described as a nation by himself. And I said the page before talks about a nation, ummah, that did not give thanks. For them it said, فَكَفَرَتْ بِأَنْعُمِ اللَّهِ. For Ibrahim alayhi salam, it says, شَاكِرًا لِأَنْعُمِ, always grateful. And the word an'ami is the gem of ni'mah. But the word ni'mah has two gems. One is ni'am and one is an'am. An'am means for the small gem of ni'mah. He was thankful to Allah for the small favors. Man lam yashkur al-qalila lam yashkur al-kathir. I think there's a principle like that. He who can't thank the little can't thank the plenty. Ibrahim alayhi salam was thankful for the smallness of the favors to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah, I think it's a lesson for us that we should always be grateful for the small things every time we pray. And we know for young children, constantly having some form of gratitude can be a form of preventing them from having some kind of arrogance or feeling that they are wronged. And that practice, inshallah, may Allah allow us to keep that practice of being grateful for the little things.
Here in Quran Beheld, it's captured that balaghi point. It says, full of gratitude for the most insignificant of his blessings.
Mm-hmm.
Captured.
Sorry, let's finish it off. Inshallah, just two more. Inviting to Islam. Invite all to the way of your Lord with wisdom and kind advice, and only debate with them in the best manner. Surely your Lord alone knows best who has strayed from his way and who is rightly guided. Grace is best. If you retaliate, then let it be equivalent to what you have suffered. But if you patiently endure, it is certainly best for those who are patient. Be patient, O Prophet, for your patience is only with Allah's help. Do not grieve over those who disbelieve, nor be distressed by their schemes. Surely Allah is with those who shun evil and who do good deeds. That's the end of it.
Inshallah, may Allah make us of those
Ameen.
who strive to do good and shun evil. Inshallah. See you tomorrow, everyone, and we'll continue from Juz 15, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam.